What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today for Tackle Tuesday, as the title says, and as we talked about last week, we have my pick for the top 10 baits for beginners. Now, before we get into that, I just want to say thanks for everyone who participated last week. If you want to be entered into the weekly giveaway for my Tackle Tuesday videos, all you have to do is make sure you're subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below. You can go ahead and do it right now, it takes 1 second. And whatever question we pose for the week, just make sure you comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. If you do both of those things, you're entered every single week to win some awesome baits. This week's winner is none other than Enthusiastic Fisherman. We had a ton of really great comments last week, but Enthusiastic Fisherman, he's a big supporter of the channel and I really appreciate it, and he also had a really great response as well. For the top 10 baits, today all I'm going to do is basically go through the list of the 10 baits, and the reason is because next week I'm going back down to New Orleans. All the lakes and ponds around here are all frozen over, so I can't go and show you these lures, but down there I will be able to. So instead of just only talking about them, we're going to let you know what they are today. Next week I'm going to start off by showing you how these baits work, hopefully get some underwater footage for you, and so on. We'll start out with my absolute all-time favorite lure is the jig. Probably one of the most versatile baits because you can fish it any way that you like and it catches a lot of fish. Next is probably the easiest bait to use, especially for a beginner, and that is a square bill. Very deadly bait, catches a lot of fish, but like I said, especially for a beginner, it is extremely easy to throw it out and wind it back, and you can play with your retrieve on that. Next thing, we've got a deep diving crankbait. Obviously a million options here as far as what depth you want to run and all that stuff. I like something that can go to 10 or 12 feet, kind of as the opposite of that square bill, and it's going to present a lot of options no matter where you're fishing in the country. You should be able to throw that. Next up we have jerkbait. Super deadly lure here, especially in the spring and fall. Next up, one of the all-time classics, can't go wrong, spinnerbait. I like a double willow blade majority of the time, but there's a whole bunch of different options on that. But it's a classic and it's been used and is still being used forever because it catches a lot of fish. Next up we have the bladed jig, or a chatterbait, whatever you want to call it. Killer bait here, especially if you're fishing around grass. If you throw this and just bring it right over top of the grass, definitely going to get a couple of bites. Next we have creature baits in general. Specifically my top two are going to be a crawl imitation bait and a game hog or a brush hog. These are definitely the two soft plastics or creature baits that I throw most often. Definitely could throw beaver in there as well, and some others, but for me, those are the top two. Next up, we have the Cinco. One of the easiest baits to throw. You can Texas rig it, wacky rig it, fish it slow, fish it fast, faster, but very easy way to catch a lot of fish, basically anywhere. Next up, we have more of a finesse worm. I like the power bait, Berkeley power bait, power worm right here. It's got the curly tail on it, but there's a million different options for more of a finesse worm. And last up is going to be a bait that maybe will be harder for a beginner to learn how to use, but I highly recommend it because there's basically nothing more exciting in life than a frog topwater blow up. I really like a small black frog a lot of the time, but of course there's a million different options for that, but you can ask almost any angler, almost any bass angler, and it's unanimous. Everyone loves a giant topwater blow up on a frog. Something about it is just very magical. Now to address the elephant in the room, the fish tank behind me, as you can see, is fully set up. I do have a few small minnows hanging around in there. Basically I put a rock in the tank, what I thought was a rock, started to fill it up with water and it was flaking all apart and got the water really dirty. So I took it out, emptied the tank, cleaned everything back off, refilled it, got some minnows in there. It's been going for a little over a day now, and a little over 2 days now. So here in another couple of days, I'm getting my fish, we're putting them in here, and hopefully this weekend we'll get some footage of him either eating some of these minnows or whatever I can get and get him to eat. Alright, so for this week's question, I'm basically gonna kind of ask the same question as last week in a way. I just want to know what your thoughts are on my top 10 baits, if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, and why. So, if you want to be in the running to win some free lures next week, make sure you're subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you let me know in the comments if you agree or don't agree, or why not with my top 10 baits for beginners, and you might win some baits next week. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. My subscriber count and view count and everything is starting to go up a lot more lately, so I really appreciate that. So make sure you're subscribed. Check back later this week because we'll be doing a feeding video with the bass I get, and then next week I'll be down in New Orleans for a couple of weeks. Warm weather, big fish. Hopefully I'll get some awesome footage for you guys. Other than that, stay hooked and we will see you next time. See ya.